Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. I have a returning guest, Michael Valle. He has returned with us to talk more about BELLA-TERRA and the concrete that he is working on. So welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be back.
When you and I first talked, which was, I'm thinking 2 or 3 years ago, you were working on, recycling materials for paving stones and keeping it simple, but you've really expanded now with so many alternative products with BELLA-TERRA. And before we dive into everything you're working on, I do want to mention that there's a think tank out there called Chatham House, and they have identified that more than 4 billion tons of cement were produced in 2021, contributing to 8% of the global carbon dioxide emissions. So for people that don't work in construction, construction has a very large carbon footprint. What Michael's doing with BELLA-TERRA is he is trying to reduce that footprint and use recycled materials. So Michael, real quick, what is BELLA-TERRA? What are you doing?
We are recycling materials. And your comment earlier regarding how we started out simple, paving stone, and so on, is correct. We did, but there's a trickling effect that we weren't anticipating. Every time we did something to advance the recycling process, we found that we were creating waste. Yeah. There was always something left over. And that led to looking into ways that we could continue to use the waste that we were actually creating from trying to eliminate waste. And through trial and error, we came about a process where we allowed various materials that we were working with to use their natural chemistry to bond and become hardened. And it wasn't a concrete per se, except that it was a cementatious material. And that material had the properties of typical concrete. And that's how it all began. And since then, we just kept saying, no, we're going to try this. We're going to try and make a block. We're going to make a brick. We're going to make something. And we did. And finally, with the assistance of some wonderful people who are now our production affiliates in Alfred Station, New York, Southern Tier Concrete Products, they believed in what we were doing and helped us achieve proof of concept and product to market ready materials. And that's where we are pretty much right now, going into a new season almost in 2024, where we will be producing and offering a full line of recycled products.
The waste that's generated from construction is large. I mean, there's a lot of waste generated. There's a lot of CO2 emissions or pollution emitted during the whole process. And by taking your product, so let's talk about as much as we can without giving up way too much. You have two products. You have your cement alternative, and then you have the 𝒔𝒚 product. So let's talk first about your cement alternative and how that, because it's a very strong cement, and we do have a cement shortage. Most people don't realize that. We're running out of the materials to make cement.
We are.
You've solved our problem. So what's your cement alternative consist of, and how does it work? And I know that you're expanding that product line.
BELLA-TERRA cementatious materials work on the same principle as typical concrete that's made with Portland cement, except we've been able to reduce and almost eliminate the use of Portland, but we still need to work with it to a degree until we can get through total ASTM certification that the materials will work. Remember, our materials are going to be used where human habitation is occurring, homes, buildings. So to inhabit those buildings, there needs to be the proper testing periods and so on. Concrete has been around for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
thousands of years, actually.
Thousands actually.
You
Yeah.
know, but by standards of let's build a building and put people in it, it's been a relatively short period of time in consideration of when concrete was first developed, going back to the Romans and the Chinese 3,000 or more years ago.
Still standing to this day, too.
That's it's pretty fascinating. But the aqueduct still carries water from Rome, or to Rome from the Alps, and that was built with concrete. And they actually had some hydration formulas um, that they had to pour in rivers or streams in order to get the right configuration of the aqueduct, and they still stand
Oh,
with
wow.
integrity.
Yeah.
So
When Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, when with your concrete, and this is something I didn't know personally. I didn't know that the Portland cement, or the cement that's used every day, is actually a synthetic made with petroleum products, and yours is more plant-based. I had no idea that we had petroleum products in our concrete. I had no clue about that.
There are some. Primarily, Portland cement is manufactured through a heat process. Limestone is literally melted, and that remaining residue is the ash or the basis of Portland cement in very simple terms.
Thank you.
But there are various additives and strengthening additives that are chemical based and used in various applications that we're trying to eliminate as well or reduce. Beginning with reduction
Yeah.
will uh, will have a major positive effect on the environment.
And that's the whole point. I mean, when you started BELLA-TERRA, your whole point was to have a positive impact, reduce the waste, reduce the chemicals, reduce the junk, basically, that's going into our building and construction. But your product's actually strong. I mean, you're up to, I believe, 75% recycled materials now. And could you talk about the strength of it? Because people are going to really understand that in order to build something, you needed to be able to withstand certain pressures so it doesn't crumble. And yours is pretty. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but from the way it sounds and what I've read, it's a strong material.
We've been able to produce various blends that have exceeded 3,000 psi, pounds per square inch of pressure of compression, kind of thing, which is structural. It's considered structural by typical traditional standards. So we've also been able to, on an experimental basis, have materials that have exceeded 3,000 psi and gotten as high as 9,000 psi, and they're flowable.
Whoa.
And of course, this is in the laboratory where it's a controlled scenario, but we believe that through continued research and development, we'll be able to commercialize that process and it become a standard of production and not out of the lab and in the field, and that's what counts. That's what really counts.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things people would be concerned about with changing a formula that's been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years, is the strength and durability. And you're proving that in a lab setting, of course, but in real world, it's, you're well above what's necessary.
Well, that's why the transition is going to be a slow one.
Yeah.
In percentages. What they'll do, or what I believe will be the process, is that X number of traditional materials, low percentages, will be replaced with the new alternatives like BELLA-TERRA and other products that are on the market.
Yeah.
So that in a 100% construction process, perhaps 10, 15, 20% of the materials that are used will be those alternatives. in a block wall, the 20% can be almost schematically laid out so that every fifth block or brick is an alternative material. So it's surrounded by the traditional materials,
Brilliant.
reducing the possibility of failure.
Absolutely brilliant idea.
Well, it's because the traditional materials have been used in application for over 150 years. So there's a, a benchmark of proof, whereas the alternatives, um, I certainly can't wait 150 years.
Now can I. It's okay. You're a
so,
good company.
so I'm very happy that our product will get there, even in a minute percentage, you know, um, to accommodate alternatives and that path forward that
Yeah.
it achieves the proof that the traditional materials now hold, and that's
Yeah. And I like the fact you're working on that slow migration up into, every fifth block. So that's resolving our cement issue, concrete issue. I would love to learn more about 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒊𝒏𝒈 and what that is.
well, one of the prohibitive aspects of recycling is again cost.
Yeah.
It's a very it's expensive to have the labor power that you need to separate materials and so on, and then process those materials individually. So, in a general sense, what we did was we've designed a process that incorporates several other processes that are used, so that we could take materials, various materials, without having to separate uh, as, uh, as as much as possible. Put that into a process and let the process separate, process, and then include that in the blending and the manufacturing of new materials.
Okay.
So, in simple terms, 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒊𝒏𝒈 is like a Play-Doh factory. You
Love
put
it.
the material, you put the
Yeah, it's
material in it.
simplified it enough for me. I
I know
get
it's like
Play-Doh.
I actually when I was designing it, it's like I had vivid memories of my Play-Doh factory. When I was a kid, Play-Doh was just coming into the market. I mean, it was quite a while ago, and the press factory to make your little stars and this and that.
Yeah,
And I thought, I'm making a Play-Doh factory. I'm putting
that's awesome.
stuff in at one end, and it's coming out finished at the other.
I love
And
it.
that's a very simple explanation of what it does. But what we did was we took some pre-existing processes and methods of material reduction and utilized those in the 𝒉𝒂𝒎𝒊𝒏𝒈 process. And one of the things, which is public knowledge, is we incorporated a jet system,
Okay.
which is an oscillating system, so it doesn't hit the same target um, constantly. It it's a moving process that hits a moving target, and then
Absolutely.
it's we utilize crystallized nitrogen, which is just like the garnet in a water jet system, but when it hits, it returns to a liquid state. And so this closed loop zero discharge system is basically a water recycling system. What
That's
we're
awesome.
doing is with low energy and low heat, we're doing the same thing almost at the heat intensive, energy intensive processes of current cement and concrete manufacturing. We're accomplishing that with cold water, closed loop, zero discharge systems.
That's fantastic. Most
We
people most people don't realize the waste generated from these processes and normal processes.
No, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
The process, these processes contribute more waste uh, than than what we believe is necessary.
Yeah.
And right, in our case, we're utilizing that waste.
Now, both of these products, your cement and your 𝒓𝒏𝒈, they're coming into market in 2024, 2025. People can start buying it then.
we we are we've just completed the engineering on the prototype model that will begin operation um, by Q1 2024.
Oh,
And
fantastic. That's right around the
that
corner.
that 𝒓𝒏𝒈, you're invited to the inaugural
You
operation.
know, don't tempt me. I actually have been to Rochester before, and I like it out there. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Of course, we're going to start the process in the dead of winter, and you never know what you're going to get here.
That's a good
Um,
point.
it's not,
I
uh,
have my galoshes. I'm good.
right. It can hold off snowing in Rochester forever, and you wake up one day in 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Or our sister city, Buffalo, 7 feet in one day. I mean, that last year was quite the year for Buffalo, the poor people in that region, in that area.
Oh, the
We
lake effect snow is
literally,
no joke.
I
Yeah.
think we got maybe like a foot to their 7.
Oh,
I mean,
ugh.
7 feet of snow in 24 hours, in a short period of time. That's a tremendous amount of snow.
That is. I mean, that is why I do not live in cold climates anymore. I don't do that. But no, so your product's coming around the corner, Q1 of 2024. You're also collaborating with some very cool people. I'm a hydrogen girl, so can we start with a hydrogen collaboration?
Yes, we were fortunate enough to be introduced to a California company located in San Jose. Hydrogen on Demand Technologies is a company that works with clean hydrogen operation of diesel engines.
Hmm.
And that's simple. That operation allows us to take diesel driven generators and utilize that clean, reduced energy consumption process to operate our production and our collection processes of recycling and product production as well. And that's what we're planning on doing um, in 2024, both in Rochester and in the production facility in Alfred Station, New York.
So that's how you
So,
get your clean green energy to do what you're doing is through the hydrogen electrolysis
right.
process.
And in the collection of recycling materials, um, this is going to be major because some of the materials that we are going to be recycling, some gypsums and product from ferrous waste,
Oh yeah.
are wet and they need to be dried to turn into a clinker, to turn into a pulverized material, into a cement. It's always been very cost prohibitive and energy wise, the carbon footprint was almost as large as the footprint that created the monster in the first place. So
Wow.
it wasn't very economically feasible to do this. Now with the HOD technology, we've reduced or will reduce that carbon footprint and economically be able to process with these materials and make it feasible to utilize them in a recycled cementatious material. And to me, that's I'm 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 so pleased. I'm pleased with that. I can't I can't tell you enough how pleased I am that we could do this.
No, and I know what you are because when you and I first, we did our first interview, because this is our third interview, folks. Our first one, which was probably 2 or 3 years ago, all you cared about was reducing waste, making it cost effective so people could use these materials economically, because the green concrete before, or what people were working on, was cost prohibitive. Great idea, great concept. No one could afford to do it. And your goal was, I'm going to fix this problem. So I know you're excited about this.
I am because we were leaving some very highly caustic and
Yeah.
necessary materials. We were leaving them behind,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
me, that wasn't right. And this makes it possible to correct that and to move on and take into account these materials that we could not process before. We can now process them economically uh, with energy smart approaches and reduce the carbon footprint. And that's what it's about.
And one of the things I think people should also understand, and I'll be honest, I don't fully understand the whole concept of fly ash and reducing that waste. Could you explain to people what fly ash is, why it's bad, and what you're doing to basically fix that problem as well?
Well, very simply, fly ash was created by the burning of coal.
Yep.
And whether we like it or not, coal is still a major fossil fuel. From an industrial standpoint, as we all know, coal was the backbone of the energy that was required in
Yeah.
most manufacturing operations. The waste that was left behind over years, centuries of coal operation has left behind this material and is still being left behind.
Oh
And
yeah.
it is a material that will enter the watersheds and leach. It will destroy the environment, um, soil, water, fish.
Yeah, because they ingest it, and then we ingest the fish, or they ingest the grasses. Yeah, everything's connected in a long chain.
If it leaches into our watersheds, which will could leach into our lakes, those lakes could be affected severely. Those lakes could end up being what's considered a dead lake, and
Yes,
everything in it as well. So
absolutely.
it's a problem that needs to be examined, corrected, and eliminated. I mean, short of eliminating the use of coal, it's going to be around for a while.
It is. Yeah, we're
And
too dependent on it.
unfortunately, so we need to work with what we've got now, and we need to correct some things, and we need to be able to take this waste, utilize it to replace the natural resources that we're losing. Your
Yeah.
comment earlier about cement is very true. I mean, we're running out of natural resources to make it. At the same time, the population is increasing.
And we
It's
need more
increasing.
housing. All people talk about is build, build, build. Our infrastructure, build, build, build.
Well, the world population is increasing, which means that increased population is going to need a place to live.
Yeah,
What do you suppose the number one building material is?
it's going to be concrete.
Concrete. And the amount of natural resources that are going to be required to make the volume to meet that demand, it's just not there.
Yeah, very true.
And,
Very true.
and so, and it's been reported as such by the very industry that needs these materials. The concrete industry is predicting that they're going to run out of material.
Yeah,
And they're talking like within 30 years. That's crazy. I
yeah,
mean, it
and
is really,
we are in a dire situation for alternatives.
great.
We
That's
are.
insanity. People refer to that won't happen in my lifetime. Well, in my lifetime, a lot has happened that otherwise should not have happened, but
Yeah,
it did.
it did.
It did.
And people who say, not in my lifetime, I don't care. I'm a little troubled when people are that egocentric. Can we please think about the generations after us? It's not
Yeah.
just about us. I mean, I know you worry about your children and your grandchildren, their children, great grandchildren, and what kind of world we'll leave behind, which is one of your triggers. When you and I, our first conversation, one of your triggers was, I want to make sure that there's a healthy environment left for my kids, my grandkids. That's what matters to you, is the family.
You know my family,
I
and
do.
you do. And my uh, my granddaughter Isabella, the first time I held her, I thought, I got to do something here because I'm running out of time, and she has all the time ahead of her.
Yes.
So that was one of the spiritual moments, let's say, I had where I knew that whatever it is that I thought I was doing, I needed to do more of it in terms
Yeah.
of recycling and this novelty of let's recycle our natural stone from our family business. And that kind of that spurred me on in a direction that I'm now in today.
Yeah. And, Iz is now 15. So this is something you've been thinking and working on
Right.
for a long time. Yeah. So I want to just go jump back to the 𝒓𝒚 when you talk about Play-Doh. This just
Okay.
hit me. What about 3D printing of buildings? That's picking up in popularity. Can the 𝒓𝒚 be used for that, where it could print out a building?
We think that the technology will be able to be combined with that 3D printing.
Fantastic.
Um, it's a matter of linking the one system to the other to provide the, the source of material for the second system to develop the end product.
Fantastic.
And it's on it's on the books to R&D as we start tinkering with the experiment, the prototype lab model, while the
Yeah.
other in-field production models are operating. One of the things that I'm trying to do from a design standpoint
Yeah.
is make the base uh, piece of equipment, a base 𝒓𝒚, let's say, adaptable so that we could plug in and out new or different methods of recycling and or product development and end product.
Cool.
Um, that's going to be the trick. We're going to have a base model with adaptable forms of either finished product blending or actual product development, where in the same way that a block machine is, you have a base machine and you change the molds.
Yeah.
That's the kind of R&D that we're looking to do. We have a base machine and we change the molds. Or
I'm very excited for this.
we think that we can achieve that within the next 3 to 4 years, and from a mechanical design and implement it in a working model. So we're doing things simultaneously because of it's the way I am. I have an urgency that I need to see this develop now rather than later.
I'm glad that you have that urgency because, I've worked in the environmental industry my whole life, and I've just seen so many papers and conferences and discussions and webinars. I love the fact you're acting, you're getting it done.
Although I like to talk, I love to
You
talk.
like to talk, but you also act and you get things done. You're
That's
not writing
I
papers.
Yeah, I get very nervous if we're not doing something.
Yeah,
Stop
I am
talking
too.
and let's do this.
Exactly. Let's just get this. Let's do it. Let's just get it done. So you are, just to let people know, you're based in Rochester. You're expanding to the West Coast in San Jose with the Hydrogen on Demand people. You're hoping to get the products out by the beginning of the first quarter of 2024. How can people find you, work with you, buy your products? Because this is needed. We need you.
We have the website is up and running. Yeah, BELLA-TERRA.com is up, and um, there are ways there to communicate either directly with our office, and we can direct you to dealers, distributors, and so on. Um, we are very much exposed through NRG insulated block. Um,
Yes.
they're also on the web, and also exposed through Southern Tier Concrete product. And all of those, our affiliates can be looked up, and we're all kind of linked together and get people in the right direction to utilize the technology and BELLA-TERRA's
And
product.
you were actually very good at helping people get in that right direction. And because some people, they're going into saying, I know I want to do the right thing. I know I want to buy the right product. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to find this. You're very good at directing people and explaining simply what they need.
It may not be from me, but I'll let you know that I can take you someplace else. I can show you or introduce you to someone else, another product that you may need, because we may not have that product developed. I believe that whatever moves this train forward in any way, shape, or form is the right thing to do. It may not be my product, it may be somebody else's, but that's okay. So long as you're doing the right thing in the right direction and it's positive for the environment, then that's what you're going to get.
And that's the heart of sustainability, is just doing the right thing. Regardless, people, planet, profit, do the right thing.
I firmly believe there's strength in numbers. And the more people that are thinking alike on this environmental topic, the more positive results we're going to get.
Yes. I
If
agree
we're all rowing the boat in the same direction, we're going to get there.
And we are getting more collaborators and more co-conspirators rowing with us. It's happening.
Yes, and hopefully that can't happen in my lifetime, will not be said.
I think I'm seeing change rapidly increase, which is, I mean, yes, there are deterrents. Yes, there's some other people. But we overall, I am seeing worldwide change. I'm talking to people in India and in China who are like, I need to fix my country. I need to help my country get into the renewables. We need to stop polluting. Like, that's brilliant, because this is a worldwide issue. It's not just us. It's not just the EU.
It is global. And the recognition, I believe you're correct, the recognition that there is a global problem, and the attitude that it's not my problem, it's your problem, is gone. I mean, and that it's an accepted theory that it is a global problem. We're going to see global solution. And I think that is where the major advantage to advance positive environmental processes and products and theories is going to come about.
Absolutely. And beautifully said, because that is absolutely true. So on that, I will let you go, because I know you are an active guy. You are busy. You are changing the world. So I will let you go. But on that, thank you, Michael, so much. So guys, check out Michael Valle. Check out BELLA-TERRA. Very important products having to do with our construction industry. I am Wendy Nystrom, your host with Environmental Social Justice. Again, Michael, thank you for your time today. I am truly grateful for everything that you do.
Thank you, Wendy. Your job is very critical and important. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. So you guys take care. We'll catch you next time. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.